Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Leo season. This is your reading for Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Moon. If you happen to know where Scorpio is in your chart and you have other planets or points there, you can always listen for those placements as well. Leo season is the span of time between July 22nd and August 22nd in 2024. And in this reading, I'm first going to offer just a channel divination or reading, tuning in with what feel like the main themes and the big messages for this season. And then I will go through the month with you or go through the season following the lunar cycles, and we'll get a little bit more specific with timing. All right, Scorpio. So first and foremost, it's important for you to know that Leo is the Scorpio of the fire element. You and Leo share some really important qualities because you're both part of the fixed family. So the fixed cross or the fixed signs include Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus. And these are signs that represent the cumulative power of their elemental energy. Scorpio, as fixed water, represents the strongest water that there is. Now, we know that water is incredibly strong, and over time, water will break down a mountain. It will birth new life forms. Water is incredibly potent elemental energy, and its deep intelligence is to penetrate, to move down and in. Scorpio, as fixed water, represents the strongest forms of water: ice, swamps, huge, massive tidal waves, and the force of that water, water that sits somewhere for a long time, quietly, slowly transforming what was solid into something else. Leo, fixed fire, represents the strongest fire that there is. This is not the match that's striking. These aren't the embers that are spreading. This is fire in its full blaze. Fire is the stuff that sparks the life process. We can find fire in, of course, the center of our planet and the center of our solar system. Leo is represented by the sun. And when we want to tune in with Leo as an energetic principle, all we have to do is think about the sun and what it is and how important it is. We can also tune in with the heat inside of our bodies or the heat at the center of the earth and feel into the potent stuff or substance that is at the center of any life form. Everybody has all 12 signs in their chart, and because Leo is an important placement for you, Scorpio, I would say one of the most important places. It takes the heaven of your chart. It is the light that is right above you. And if we think of the analogy of a plant, you're a little Scorpio plant, and the light of Leo is compelling your growth. And so when it comes to how you want to be in the world, what you are growing up and into, the kind of plant you're going to be, Leo has a lot to do with that. Now, Leo is known for drama, and so is Scorpio. And it has something to do with this particular configuration and placement that for the Scorpio solar charts, Leo takes the solar 10th house or the heaven of the chart. Scorpio, even though a lot of you are subtle, many of you are subdued, many of you are secretive and somewhat unknowable or mysterious, you always have a flair for drama. You might be unknown and mysterious, but we're still looking at you trying to figure out who you are because you are compelling. And your compelling magnetic nature, the drama that Scorpio can have, has a lot to do with Leo. Over the course of Leo season, we have a lot that's going on in Leo. And the feeling that I have is that you are bringing the heat. There is some drama that is happening for you. My hope is that this is the fun, generative kind of drama, the kind that you intentionally decide that you want, where you are going to put on your makeup and your costume and get out there on stage. There's a lot of energy for you right now to be putting yourself out there. There are opportunities for you to be visible. There is a lot of great receptivity for you right now as well. So if you have the opportunity, or if you can take the chance, or even maybe take the risk of putting yourself out in some kind of way, and that would include letting yourself be seen, just maybe getting out there. It definitely includes love and beauty and being noticed. It definitely includes communication and intelligence and kind of offering from your mind as well as your body or your appearance. It also includes qualities that I'm going to call devotional qualities. And this is something that's really special. It feels like there are ways that you might feel a particular calling or feel devoted in your life to caring or tending for something, to nurturing some particular kind of energy to exist in your life and in the world. And there's actually so much receptivity right now for you to be bringing that out and forward and allowing other people to see and witness it. Again, I think a lot of you are getting a really good reception right now, but you can't get a good reception unless you put yourself out there and let people see you. So this definitely is a time to, again, take the chance or take the risk. Throughout Leo season, however, there's also a need for you to really be checking in with your energy and noticing when you are putting yourself out, how you're putting yourself out relationally in the world, going after opportunities, etc. And whether these attitudes and activities that you're engaged with are really resonating for you in ways that feel not only sustainable, but generative and helpful in how you're changing right now. You've been going through some really remarkable and very significant change for a while. Everyone's changing, everything is changing, and there are certain seasons of change that are more potent and intense than others. I'm going to say that over the last several years, a lot of you have been going through very important changes in your relationship dynamics. And I think at this point in the process, many of you have the information that you need about what you want more of, and what you are done with. And in the season ahead, and even for the next couple of months, you will probably be encountering different opportunities in the realm of your relationships. This includes all kinds of relationships. And these opportunities span a spectrum, of course, but at two ends of the spectrum, we have opportunities that either don't allow you to grow or even are regressive, like they pull you into old patterns, old behaviors, old mind states and ways of operating. Or we have opportunities that pull you into evolution and into change. Sometimes it can be tricky encountering these kinds of circumstances because what we are familiar with and what we know often feels more safe than what we're unfamiliar with and haven't practiced yet. So I'm really inviting you right now to pay attention to the ways that you come into contact with relationships in general, but especially when it comes to the ways that you are making your way in the world and doing what you want to be doing or following some kind of path of life growth. And definitely when it comes to any kinds of circumstances where you might be thinking about long-term collaborations, building networks, building family, sharing resources, or sharing important information or vulnerabilities with people. Right now, Scorpio, you want to take the risk to do the new thing. You don't want to do the things that you have done before. And some of you are in a tense spot right now, trying to discern where energy is moving backwards and kind of keeping you doing the same things or doing what you've done before, and where there's a new opportunity that's actually going to be beneficial. So when it comes to what you are leaving behind, I think a lot of you, and I've been talking about this to you for a long time now in your horoscopes, a lot of you are working on becoming more transparent. So Scorpio has a quality that can be very hidden, mysterious, and secretive. I think that this quality is very deeply protective and a lot of times incredibly wise. You are psychological masters. You know what it is to be patient, to wait, to perceive, to notice where there's a vibe, where there's an opening, etc. But sometimes your calculations and your self-protection can inhibit the growth of intimacy and true vulnerability. And sometimes it can also block you from opportunities because people might not know that they can take a risk with you. Over the course of Leo season and into Virgo season, I hope that you can give yourself some permission to experiment with revealing yourself in new and different ways. This does not have to be a big deal. It could actually be just sharing a thought or letting somebody know how you're really feeling about something. It could be allowing the way that you're feeling to actually register on your face instead of keeping your face, in a kind of secretive expression or something like that. Like, didn't see it, don't know, but internally, all kinds of stuff is going on. Scorpio, what would happen if you were just like, oh, or whatever? I don't know what the face is for you. But allowing yourself to come out of your shell a little bit, to be seen and witnessed in new and different ways. This could also look like you taking the risk to extend yourself, to make an invitation or create an opening for someone to come towards you. We need to know what it is that you want. And we also need to know how it is that you're feeling if we're going to be good allies, partners, friends, colleagues, and family members for you. In Leo season, a lot of you are also really needing to hone in and clarify what you want to be giving. In terms of what you're giving, I'm going to say life energy across the board. I definitely feel this in the realm of your labor. All different kinds of ways that people labor, definitely in relationships, emotional labor, psychic labor, psychological labor, energetic labor, physical labor, all different kinds of ways you might be showing up, including your actual jobs. This is a season that is asking you to clarify for yourself what it is that you want to be giving and what you have energy and capacity and resource to give. And then once you have that clarity for yourself, this is a season that is asking you for generosity. How can you give even more fully what you want to be giving? So we want discernment and refinement so that you're not giving what you don't want to give. And we want clarity and space opening so that you can give more of what you want to give, so that you can be generous. And in this generosity, there are also invitations. As you share what you have and who you are, others are more inclined to take a step towards you and see if they can participate, maybe support you in your giving, or maybe play with you in a collaborative space or something like that. Finally, in terms of big themes for Leo season, there's something that's happening for you. And in Leo season, it's like you start to notice that it's happening. It's been happening for a while, but I don't know how much you've paid attention to it. Beginning in Leo season, though, I think you do start to pay attention in a different way. And the feeling that I'm having is that you're recognizing layers of preference that you didn't even know you could have before. let's see if I can find another way to make that make sense. A lot of us just assume that we're going to like things because that's what society tells us to like, or that's what we've been entrained with because of like whatever our, social locations or bodies or friend groups or families think is like the thing that people like. However, everybody's unique. And, for example, not everybody likes ice cream. It's a thing out there where it's like, oh, everybody likes dessert, right? Like everybody wants something sweet, but not everybody likes ice cream, right? Not everybody wants dessert. Some people just don't actually have a sweet tooth. There are phases, there are cycles. Sometimes people don't want something sweet for a couple of years, right? And there's like an assumption, maybe this isn't the great example, but there's an assumption that someone will like that. Now that I'm saying this, I feel like I've said this to you in the past. Maybe there was an analogy about peanut butter or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to continue. So there's this feeling of you're recognizing that you can like things that are weird, that maybe a lot of people don't like, and you can not like things that a lot of people do like. And that can be literal in terms of tastes that you might have or consumption habits or something like that. But it can also be really highly energetic. So for example, I really like shoulder rubs. I would imagine that a lot of people like shoulder rubs. Sometimes I'm surprised when someone's like, don't touch my shoulders. Don't like it. And I'm like, wow, okay, that person doesn't like shoulder rubs. There's something like on the energetic level or in the relational level or in the realms of intimacy or something like that, where I feel like it's dawning on you that you're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't have to like that. Or, oh, I do like that. And it's okay that I like that. And it's like your energy is becoming a little bit more coherent and integrated around what you're actually trying to get out of circumstances in your life. Now, when it comes to intimacies and vulnerabilities and any kinds of issues of relationship or trust, this is super important. The feeling that I have right now is that some of you are recognizing that you don't need to mask. It's okay for you to have experiences that are just your experiences. You don't need to pretend otherwise. And it's good for the people who you're with to have the information, but you may just be kind of figuring out that you can actually offer that information and that it would be useful for other people to have. So there's that component. Then there's this other component to it that feels a little bit like a life cycle or progress moment. And the way that I want to describe this, and I'm going to say that what I'm trying to talk about now feels like very subtle. It feels like an internal experience. So make the meaning that's meaningful for you. But the thing that I'm picking up right now has to do with the ways that you have been laboring. So again, there's this feeling of what do you actually want to be giving? And something is shifting for you when it comes to how you want to be expressing yourself and kind of putting your energy into your life and out into the world and how you are spending your time. And I think that you're recognizing that there are certain ways of being that you're very practiced at, that you're actually probably really good at, but you don't enjoy them anymore. Maybe you never actually did, and you really need to make a shift. This consciousness has an edge to it, though, because I think for a lot of you, coming up to this, like getting close to it, brings up some survival fears. Like if you don't do that thing anymore that you're really good at, then what happens? So this could be ways of relating with people, right? You're really good at X, Y, or Z. That's, all of your partners and your family members and your friends think you're really good at it, but you're like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to show up like this anymore. This could have to do with your job or with your career. You've done something for a long time. You're really good at it. You're practiced with it. People know you for it. And you're like, I'm done though. Then what? There's a kind of feeling in your chart right now of not knowing where the resources are that can sustain you through a transformation of some kind. Now, I want to say, Scorpio, that we're looking at an 11-month cycle beginning in July. So from July of 2024 until June of 2025, a lot of you are in this place that feels like you're figuring out how to trust transformation. You are learning that you actually can listen to your preferences, listen to your body, communicate what is true for you. You're figuring out that there is subtle discernment that you can employ around who, where, and when can actually receive that information. And you're also learning that there are other options outside of what you have historically been focused on or trying to pursue. Collectively, we're in a really big space of change right now, and a lot of things are breaking down. A lot of things are not working anymore. And as individuals, we all have our part to play in the revolution. And for a lot of folks right now, the most helpful things that we can do have to do with figuring out how to dismantle, how to take something apart that is no longer working. In the ways that we are working to dismantle or to upset, there also needs to be the counterbalance of imagination and fantasy and faith on some level that there are other options. So as old ways of being collapse, new growth is coming up underneath, but we're in a very tender, tenuous space because what is collapsing has been a long held structure. And even if we were done with it a gazillion years ago and never liked it to begin with, the fact that it's been stable and now feels unstable can actually be very destabilizing to us personally. So there is this feeling in your chart right now that you are actually trying to build a new life for yourself. I'm going to say that I don't really see this cohering together and coming into like a form that you can go, oh, that's what it is, until 2026. And if you've listened to my year ahead readings for your sign or for the collective, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't listened to them, you can check them out. The year ahead readings are on discount now, and you can find the collective reading on YouTube. But all that said, there's about a year and a half of really potent transition and transformation energy that is starting to hit everyone in some pretty intense ways right now. And the feelings here are, I can't do this anymore. I don't like it. There's some kind of recoil or repulsion or aversion or fatigue, or it's just not holding the form and you're trying to make it go together and it's not happening. Something like that. Simultaneously, at the same time, there are these new dreams and visions. Oh gosh, it could be like that. These new dreams and visions are not yet formed. They're not coherent yet. You don't actually know what they are. You might have little pieces, you might have strands of ideas, but they haven't gelled yet. That's exactly as it should be. We are in the goo right now. We just need to be in this gooey space of transformation. This year, 2024, is a big year of transformation for you, Scorpio. You have a lot going on in your charts, and every single thing that I'm looking at is telling me that you are in a really deep place of alchemical transition. Things are changing for you internally, psychologically, energetically, relationally. You are shifting, mutating, and morphing, and a lot of you are preparing to reimagine what your life could look like. This includes every element of your life, and it definitely includes how your body feels in the day-to-day. That means, what are you doing? How are you caring for yourself? What are your responsibilities, your obligations, etc.? It definitely means family and belonging and community and home. It definitely means relationships of all kinds. And it definitely means resources and how you're connecting with nourishing yourself, literally like getting what it is that you need to sustain and support your efforts. So please be patient. Know that you're in a moment of really deep transformation. In Leo season, you're going to be getting some good information. It's going to be coming to you, I think, energetically and psychologically before it's really clear on a mental level. So you definitely want to take note of how you feel about things, and don't force yourself to do anything that you're not actually into. And if you feel drawn to something new or some new way of being, give it a try. Okay, so let's go through Leo season through the lunation cycle. We do begin this season with a full moon, so the lunar map is a good one to follow this season. The full moon that begins Leo season is actually in the very last hours of Cancer season. So we had 2 full moons in Cancer season, and this last full moon coming in on the very last degree of Capricorn has a powerful symbol and image in it of completion. There are a lot of things that cannot go on as usual. Whether this is something happening in the political circus and, those who have been on platforms stepping down or something like that, whether this is culmination of projects, whether this is moving. A lot of you Scorpios are experiencing big completion and culmination moments in your personal lives in some way. This might be transition in a relationship, new relationships coming in, old relationships moving out. Some of you are literally moving right now. Some of you are completely transforming your living situation. A lot of you are done with certain kinds of things and you're moving on to the next thing. So there's this feeling with the full moon that gets us moving into Leo season of moving on now. That's the last chapter. We're closing the door and getting ready for the new thing. Now, I will say that we still have a couple months of tying up loose ends. So don't expect it to be a totally clean ending on July 22nd. You can probably expect, though, that by November, things are wrapped up. And if it does seem that there are loose strands hanging out somewhere, give yourself that amount of time, but definitely be focused on finishing things up in the next, what's November from July, 4 months or so. The first week of Leo season from the full moon into the 4th quarter is definitely a season that is bringing a lot of emphasis in your chart into relationships. This feels like a really social time for you, especially the span of days between the 27th and the 29th. It's the 4th quarter in Taurus, that's your opposite sign. When the moon is there, we have illumination of this part of your chart. There may be interactions that you're having with significant others or in your one-on-one personal relationships and dynamics where you are just having this sense of we're in a new space. There are new possibilities. Don't be shy to make your preferences known. This is definitely the time where we need you revealing yourself in some new and different ways. Please don't expect people to read your mind. If you want something, ask for it. If you don't like something, let it be known. There's a lot of room for shifting around in your relationships right now. That definitely includes significant one-on-ones and larger picture social groups and friend groups. It feels like so much new energy is coming in at this time. And so you want to meet that new energy with creativity and agency. As it comes in, help it find its new places, feel creative and playful with it. Scorpio, I think a lot of you can have what you want. Probably not across the board every single day, all day, but to a certain extent, I think you can have what you want. And this is a time to open to those possibilities and work with the energy that's here so we know what you want. Moving from the 4th quarter to the new moon, we have a new moon in Leo on August 4th. The emphasis shifts for you into a kind of more visible external public space. So I talked to you before about how Leo holds the heaven of your chart. And as we move towards that new moon, there's more and more increasing emphasis on you as a public figure, you as somebody who's out there in the world. Again, this might feel increasingly social. There may be more sensation of visibility that you're experiencing, and that can bring up all kinds of things, both positive and negative, however it feels for you. I really want to encourage you to continue to feel into what do you want to give and what don't you want to give anymore. We benefit the most from your generosity that is authentic. You benefit the most from your generosity that is authentic. When you are giving from a place that feels truly joyful and aligned with your spirit, with your heart, and with your healing, everybody around you benefits. A lot of you need to take the risk to believe that. Scorpio, as an archetypal impression, somewhere, sometime in the past, if you're a Scorpio identified person, you have experienced some kind of non-receptive, relational situations where you didn't get support that you needed, where people were not trustworthy, where you couldn't believe them or something like that. There is a lot of availability for healing for you right now, but you also have to take the risk. And so it feels a little bit like, processes of healing that require some pain. Like if you've broken your bone and you're healing it, but you have to reset it and then you have to learn to bear weight through it again, can be incredibly painful, but it's totally necessary because bones grow through pressure. And if you don't put that pressure in through it, and if you don't breathe through the pain, then it's going to stay weak. So there is this feeling right now of you have to kind of do the thing that's uncomfortable. For some of you, this might be making boundaries. For some of you, this might be making your preferences known. For some of you, this might be shifting your attitude and adjusting your energy in certain ways. I think for a lot of you, this is just about showing up as you are and not apologizing for it, not hiding it, and being kind of out about it. Like, you know who you are, so be about it, right? Like, you don't need to hide that, just bring it forward. That Leo energy is very strong right now, and something wants to come out and can't be held back. And so you definitely really want to follow that impulse, even if for some of you it might feel a little edgy or uncomfortable. The day of the new moon, Mercury is stationing retrograde in Virgo. By August 28th, Mercury will station direct back in Leo. So over the next 3 weeks, Mercury is moving from Virgo back to Leo. In your chart, this is a movement from the solar 11th to the solar 10th house. The relationship between the 11th and the 10th have to do with the relationship between you as a public figure, you as somebody who's out there in the world doing your thing, living your life, building your legacy, and who that brings you in contact with. So your 11th house has significations around groups, networks, organizations, friends, tertiary, secondary audiences, things like that. It is one of the most beneficial places in the chart. It really wants to give you a lot of gifts. And Mercury retrograde is nothing to be scared about. It is something definitely to work with. This energetic pattern is part of what I've been looking at when I'm talking about your assessment period right now with relationships, particularly when it comes to friends, audiences, networks that you might be involved with, social groups that you might be a part of, and anywhere that you are organizing for the future. Anywhere where you're feeling intentional about making something happen that is going to happen in the future. So that's not necessarily always social. It could have to do with longer term plans, with your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, and your doubts or insecurities. But there's something about like a forecast feeling and preparatory energy for you right now as you're looking forwards and then needing to make adjustments. This Mercury retrograde is definitely asking you to refine some kind of process that you are in. A lot of you, this is a process that has something to do with what you're doing. That's career, vocation, again, public image, putting yourself out, trying to be a particular kind of person in the world or in your life. And now reassessment is required. The RE prefix is something I've already been using and definitely encourage you to use throughout any retrograde cycle. Apply it liberally, even when it's not a prefix, like rest or remain. These are good times to research, to revise, to renegotiate. One of my favorite retrograde words is to reclaim. Maybe we've lost something somewhere along the way that actually needs us to pick it up and feel empowered about carrying it forward. This is definitely an important retrograde for you because of where it's moving in your chart. It feels like there are some longer term repercussions that you're working with. So I want to encourage you to pace yourself and to go slow. For the week after the new moon, from the 4th of August through the 12th of August, this is a really good time for you to get quiet and to tune in with your intentionality in a kind of like mind-body way. So a lot of us have ideas about what we want. I've already been talking about this previously, right? You have an idea about what it is that you want. But actually, when you really feel into it, it's kind of anxiety making. In your mind, you're like, that would be amazing. That's totally what you want. But then when you feel into it, you're like, I don't know. It feels stressful. It feels like maybe I don't even like those people. I don't know what's coming up for you. But this is a period of time where you actually have a lot of access to your mind-body intelligence, and your mind-body intelligence is what's being called for, particularly around August 7th. So if you can take the day on August 7th and use that day and its energetic influences to have some kind of journaling process or practice that helps you clarify and refine where you're trying to go, what you're trying to work towards, and then really tune in with what feels actually really generative, what feels necessary. You might ask into your body mind for guidance on how to move towards this desired outcome. I think that a lot of you are getting really good information from your corporeal intelligence and mind-body coherence. From the 12th through the 19th, and even into the last days of Leo season, so let's say the last 10 days, from the first quarter, which is in Scorpio, August 12th, the moon is in your sign, through the full moon on August 19th, also on the fixed cross in Aquarius, and then into Virgo season, we have some of the most intense astrology of 2024 so far. And that's saying something because this year has been giving intense astrology. It's all over the place. You don't even need to know astrology to feel it. We're definitely in times of a lot of chaos and disruption and intensity. And as heartbreaking and tragic and terrifying and unnecessary a lot of it is, I will say that it's also serving a purpose. And there's a lot of creativity and liberation that is getting opened up as things fall apart. The 12th of August, we have the first quarter lunar cycle beginning in Scorpio. This is a period of growth and stability for you. You're coming out of a week where I said, use this energy to focus in your mind-body coherence on what it is that you want and what you're trying to cultivate and build. By the time we get to the to the first quarter, you're really set up to be stabilizing yourself in some new and different kind of way. The vibe that I get for you is that this is like a quality of time where you are concentrating inwards and you are trying to set things up in your life so that they will help support you in what you're moving towards and through this next chapter. As we move towards the full moon on August 19th, again, there are a lot of pretty intense aspects that are happening. And I think that this is a big opportunity period for you where doors might be opening. You might be identifying opportunities that are available to you. You might also be clarifying for yourself where something is possible or not possible at this point. It feels like you're doing a lot of reassessment, a lot of readjustment. You are applying the RE prefix all over the place. You're REing. And that's totally what you want and need to do, because ultimately this is a period of time that is helping you clear space so that you can take up a different kind of space. The feeling that I have is that you are literally clearing ground so that you can make a new home on it. As we move from Leo season into Virgo season, we're continuing with the Mercury retrograde, and there are these influences that I talked about previously that bring us through June of 2025. These influences all require adaptability. We are in a time of immense change, and we do not know what is going to happen. Astrologers can, read the symbols. We can talk about energetic potentialities, but astrologers are making predictions all the time, and some of them land and some of them don't. My personal opinion, if anybody's asking, is that astrology is a better guide for us. It really helps us feel into our potentiality than it is a tool for prediction. I don't think prediction is that useful, honestly, because all kinds of factors are at work, and it's important for human beings to be humble and be open to the mystery. If we knew how everything would turn out, we wouldn't even be here, right? We would definitely be doing something else right now. So what am I even trying to say? So we're in a period right now that is asking for adaptability. Over the course of the next 11 months, your priority is adaptability in your own energy and your patterns around your energy, especially when it comes to how you give and receive, how you are exchanging. That means resources, that means information, that means intimacy and proximity, that means access. There are a lot of ways that you are looking to adjust in your personal life, I think, so that you can open up to different kinds of stability, especially in the relational realm. That includes relationship with yourself. I feel like this is a period of deepening trust, and that requires sometimes that you change course and that you listen to the information that's coming in that's asking for a shift. There's also a need for you to be adaptable right now when it comes to your resources and what it is that you are trying to do, particularly if resources are coming to you through other people. So this includes spouses and partners. It also definitely includes family members through debts and inheritances. It certainly includes anybody who might be paying you for something. So where resources are coming in, and I just spoke about some, ideas of resource and where they might be coming in. Resource is definitely money. It's definitely property and possession, but it also includes attention and time and affection and things like that. So you want to be adaptable right now. You want to be able to kind of pivot when you feel that, oh, you can't get what you need here, so you can make that choice. Oh, you're getting a lot of what you need over here. Maybe you want to go that direction. There is a need for you to be able to change course and not be super focused and attached on only particular projects or things or people providing you with what you think that you're trying to get. There's another theme right now that has to do with preparation. How do we prepare inside of change for what we don't know is coming? The feeling that I have for you is that there is a need for you to be laying the groundwork for future foundations for yourself. I think a lot of you are trying to get to new experiences again in home, family, and community within the next several years, if not over the next decade or two. It's not like it needs to happen tomorrow. I don't think it even can, but the foundations can start to be laid. These foundations have to do with your willingness to communicate, to be transparent, to be adaptable and open about where you're making choices and why you need to be making those choices, etc. This is also a period of time when you might want to be preparing in terms of networking, making sure that you are connected with people in certain places for various different reasons that will make sense to you in your own life. Finally, perspective, keeping a big perspective. The feeling that I have for you, Scorpio, right now is that you really want to have perspective when it comes to what you do and what you're trying to do, how you're using your energy and where you're applying it. A lot of you have been in some kind of phase for a while where you've been I think, feeling depleted in some way. And it's like you're putting out more than you're receiving. And you want to keep a perspective that there's more than what you've been trying to do. There are more fish in the sea, whether that's about relationships, work opportunities, places where you can express yourself, do your thing. There's also so much beyond our earthly lives. And sometimes that's the perspective that we need. Certainly, that perspective helps me a lot. This life is one breath in the cosmic life of the universe. We are limited in our capacity. And if we can really keep that in mind, that there are huge timescales that are happening, and we're just like a tiny little bead on a long strand in the great cosmic necklace or something like that. Sometimes that can help us to release what actually isn't fruitful and open up to what our lives are trying to show us. And I do have a feeling for a lot of you right now that keeping a perspective of humility inside of this kind of cosmic chaos could be helpful. You know, you're not entitled to anything, right? None of us are. Like, we're born into these bodies. And if we can survive a couple of days, a couple of decades, a couple of, I don't know, I guess not centuries, but, you know, it's like, wow, great. Nobody is guaranteed any of that, right? We live in a state of kind of absurd risk all of the time. And people are always exiting really before their time. So many gifts that people have to give don't get to be given. And so much of our energy is squandered by being attached to ideas of who we ought to be and how we ought to be, and, you know, our relationships and our jobs and ego structures and stuff like this that actually is probably pretty meaningless. So keeping a perspective for yourself and letting this broad perspective of big timelines and a kind of universal mystery support you in this moment to be more honest and authentic with yourself and others. There's no need for you to perform falsity right now. You don't need to compete. You don't need to try and be somebody that you're not. This is your life. And your life is asking you to show up for it with authenticity. And that is everything that Leo energy is about. So Scorpio, I hope in your all of that feels supportive and assistive. I hope that you'll also stay with me for a couple of minutes. I want to tell you about what's coming up at Embodied Astrology. And I'm going to take this opportunity to share just a little bit more about your chart, because Embodied Astrology is always timing with the current transits. And so everything that we're doing is actually right on time for what's happening. First of all, on Monday mornings, every Monday from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Pacific, you can join me on Zoom in Somatic Space. Somatic Space is a weekly experimental class where we work with astrology as a somatic score. This is an opportunity to do something for yourself. We're always working with healing practices. We do meditation and breath work and self-massage and self-touch, as well as therapeutic gentle movements for our bodies. This is a place for you to come and be with astrology through your body, not through your mind. It's also a place where really sweet and tender people come, and there is definitely a robust community that's building in that space that is such a privilege and an honor to be a part of. I know that I always feel better by 9:30 on Monday mornings, regardless of what I wake up with, regardless of what my week has in store for me. Those classes are actually such an important anchor for me right now. And I am so grateful for them because they always help me through the week. And if they can help you, then that would be amazing. And I would love that as well. You can always drop in, you can try it out. And if you like it, you can buy a membership. Everything that Embodied Astrology offers is always offered at tiered pricing and with scholarships for anybody who needs them. On August 3rd, which is the day before the new moon, I'll be joining Gabs 404 in the Nebula Lab. Gabs is hosting the Nebula Lab with Embodied Astrology this year as a space for researching and experimenting the intersections between visual culture and astrology. Gabs is working with the planet Neptune, where it's currently transiting at the very last degree of the zodiac. When I was talking about a lot of the themes that I was bringing up in your chart, particularly themes around feeling ready for some new way of being, themes around depletion and needing to tap in with your own energy, I was looking at Neptune in your transit chart. Gabs is working with Neptune in a very different way and thinking about it as a generational signature, which it is. Its orbit is, I think, about 165 years around the sun. I'll be looking at Neptune in personal charts on August 3rd, and you don't need to know anything about astrology in order to come. You just need to get your chart, which is super easy. You can get it off the internet. And learning about how these generational signatures are configured in our personal charts is super stabilizing and I think really supportive, especially when we're trying to figure out how the environment and kind of current collective evolution are places that we can contribute with and take part in and not just be affected by. Neptune is also so important when we're considering artistic inspiration and intuition, spirituality, sensitivity, health, and dreams. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, you are also welcome to just drop in for that session, or you might be interested in the entire series with Gabs. On August 18th, our facilitator, Sherry Taylor, is inviting a co-host to join her for a special workshop looking at vocational astrology. Anders Renee will be joining Sherry for one session on the 18th, and then Sherry will offer 2 more sessions subsequently after that for a 3-part devotional cycle, working with purpose and purposefulness through astrology. Sherry has been working with Saturn in Pisces. This is the transit that's currently happening for the last 2 years. And Saturn is creeping up into a conjunction with Neptune. And so a moment ago when I said, yeah, these themes that I'm looking at Neptune with, Saturn is also part of that movement. Saturn, in addition, has a lot to do with our dedication and sense of integrity, with our labor, with our energy, and with our capacity, as well as with purposefulness and vocation. Finally, on the 20th of August, which is the day after the full moon, Janata Petrus will be holding her monthly full moon artistic alchemy space. Every month, Janata holds these spaces where she offers prompts and practices to attune with the polarity of the full moon. This month or this season, the polarity is a really important one for you because Leo and Leo's opposite sign, Aquarius, are 2 members of the fixed family, and these 2 signs hold the vertical axis of your chart. So when you tune in with Leo and Aquarius, you are tuning in with deep sustenance and support for your life path, for your creative gifts and offering, and for basically being a badass. Janata will be holding this space and inviting you to bring any of your current creative projects into it, as well as your desires to live creatively and cultivate artistry in your life. Beyond Leo season, Scorpio, I hope that you'll consider joining me on land in real life and off the internet, October 24th through 27th. I'll be co-facilitating a 4-day retreat in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains at the Eco Dharma Center with my colleagues Michelle and Ramon Gabrieloff Parrish. Michelle and Ramon are really amazing, very inspiring facilitators. They are a power couple. They have been working for a long time in the realms of food and environmental justice. They work with community preparedness and organization and activism. They are also deeply spiritual. Michelle has worked a long time with the work that reconnects, and Ramon is a dancer and embodiment practitioner, as well as an amazing astrologer. And together we are going to be exploring astrology and somatic practices, as well as environmental communion practices and group work to help us feel into what's coming up in the future. So much is falling apart and so much is ready to be restructured, reimagined, and healed. And this is a retreat where we're going to be working with that energy really intentionally. And we would love to have you there. If you want more information about anything that Embodied Astrology is offering, head to embodiedastrology.com. You can also follow us on social media at Embodied Astrology on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you stream your podcasts. Scorpio, I'm wishing you all the best in Leo season and beyond. Bye for now.